Devin, you there?
Oh, yes.
Look at
Awesome.
Devin. You got that hands up. How can I, Joel, I'm going to come right back to you. Don't worry about it. I just get some sort of feedback. What's going on, Devin? Where you at?
I am in Long Tech.
All right, man.
Yes, sir. So I've been watching a bunch of your stuff on land. And I had a couple questions about cash buyers for putting the filters in on PropStream.
Okay, let's do it. I still got my screen up here.
Okay, sweet. Here, let me show you.
So full disclosure, because I like to be brutally honest with you guys, Devin.
Yeah,
I do land. I found out doing land by accident when I was doing houses. Like people would offer me land. I'm like, I just don't buy land. I wasn't taught that way. And then I missed so many opportunities. I'm like, maybe we should buy some land. And when I decided to do it on purpose, my eyes like just blew open because
go ahead. Sorry.
So I'm just telling you, like, I still do land. I don't do it on a huge scale. I look at land. Listen, I'll take any single family infill lot like someone can give me for the right price. But now I focus and attack like commercial land, which is a nightmare. But I didn't do land for 21 years. And I'm just telling you that because I'm good at it. But actually, for full disclosure, my son's even better at it because he ran an entire business 2 years just flipping land.
So I was talking to him last night, and I was telling him about the land or the hot lead that I got off of land. And he told me to call the cash buyers. And like you're talking about, like I had a couple land deals that I had under contract, but I couldn't find buyers for them because I didn't do the numbers and stuff or the calculations right. So after watching your stuff, I was like, okay, this seems to be pretty profitable if I do it right. So I was curious about what is like for your cash buyers like off of land.
So with land, you have to simplify everything. It's not. So with, by the way, I'm not a giant like script guy for cash buyers. To me, I just want to have a polite comment. Like you don't have to script too much for cash buyers. It's kind of common sense, right? Like the reality is, what are you looking from your cash buyer when you're contacting them? Because you're reaching out and you're calling them, right? Maybe you're responding off something.
Yes, sir.
What are the things that are like non-negotiable what are you trying to accomplish in that phone call other than obviously them trying to buy your property? What qualifiers?
Qualifiers are their motivation, their time spent, price. Oh wait, no, this is for sellers.
Correct. So you have to clearly. So whenever you have a conversation with anyone other than your significant other, like you don't want to use this as for the evil power. You should have an agenda for what you want to accomplish when it's done. That way, you know when the conversation's over. Because in the beginning, I was guilty of spending way too much time with these people. Okay. So what are the 2 or 3 things that you want to accomplish when you talk to a cash buyer? And if you do it from that standpoint, you'll be much more efficient because it's not about building like a ton of rapport. Like you don't have to do that with cash buyers. If you can present like a decent, even like have a half-wit conversation, it's not that hard. They're not going to hang up on you like motivated sellers. So knowing that, I want you to switch it. What are the 3 things you need to get from a cash buyer? Your wish list.
Hold on, I wrote this down. What size land they're buying, what their price point is, and how much willing for it.
Correct. So I would say the location of where they're buying, which I think you nailed that. The price points that they're comfortable with. I like to use words like that with them. Right. And the sticky one, which you got to find another way to use it, is do they have the ability to buy this land? And that's always the stickiest question you ask a cash buyer, right? So some of you go, do you have a proof of funds? For the last 4 years, you could just jam it on them, right? You have proof of funds? Right. See ya. The problem is if you don't have an actual deal, that's a little bit tougher of an ask, right? Because I don't know you and you're asking for personal financial information. So I say, listen, at what number are you comfortable funding a deal? I'm just going to do it backward. And remember, I'm looking for their subconscious answer. Proof of funds freaks people out. I got to be honest, the last 4 years, we did a lot of it too, but then you can move into other softball questions to get harder to it. Now, if I have a current deal, I will ask for a proof of funds because that's where the rubber hits the road, right? Like if you don't have it, like I got to move on. I also mostly use that one to filter out if you're a wholesaler wasting my, because here's the reality. A lot of people run this business as a big lie and they just waste everyone's time. I appreciate when someone goes, hey, Rick, I'm a wholesaler. I got this. I'm just like, if you're polite and stuff, I'll actually hear you out. But the minute you try to run me over and BS me, I just don't want to move on wasting time. So all you have to do when you're doing a cash buyer script is find out what your agenda is and what you want to get it done. So there's only 2 ways. You either have a deal or you don't have a deal. And you got to approach them a little bit differently. When you have a deal, you can ask harder questions. But you're in a market where you have to be a lot nicer. You can't run them over. Number 2, if you don't have a deal, deal, you have to work them into it and ask them what they're comfortable funding up to. And then when you have a deal, then you go, okay, the guy says he can spend up 150 grand on a lot. So when you have a deal, say, John, remember I talked about I have a deal. I go, I have that deal. You said you're comfortable with 150. All I need to do is get that proof funds. I'm going to send the deal over to you right away. And that's kind of the two-step process we do it. A lot of you say, hey, I got a deal right now. Like a good cash buyer is going to ask details. And if you can't give me an address, I'm not going to give you a proof of funds.
Right.
Now, when we had a hyper seller's market, you could ask everyone for a proof of funds. It didn't matter. In today's market, they will literally hang up on you. And that's the only difference you have to differentiate when you're asking for cash buyers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Listen, guys, cash buyers are smart. They're not stupid. Like they get a lot of deals and a lot of people are calling them. So they're listening to what people are saying. The last 4 or 5 years, they had to take whatever they could get. And eventually this will become more of a balanced market. But right now, you have to spend a lot of time with cash buyers gaining intel because especially on buying land is only worth what someone will pay for it, right? And I'd like to tell you this magical comping tool. Land's completely different. It's only as good as what someone's willing to pay for it. How do you get that information?
Just go. You can talk to realtors or go on Zillow, right?
Yeah, but cash buyers is by far your best one. So the more cash buyers you talk, better data you're going to get. And then, so if you talk to 25 cash buyers in a certain area, you kind of get a rough idea what the hell's going on. And if they're like, well, I've been inundated with deals, or like, you know what, I can't find a deal in this area. I'm also looking for supply and demand. And the cash buyers will tell you, I don't know what's going on. I got 10 calls today to sell me a vacant lot. And you're like, oh, crap, you know.
Right.
So now you know, I go, okay, we got to start dialing our numbers out. The why I love land is there's no inspections. Nobody lives on the damn property. And if deal doesn't work out, you can walk away and nobody like throws a temper tantrum. They do sometimes, but for the most part, completely different than single family houses. So you have to do a lot of playing when you price out land. It's not uncommon for when we do the little bit of land we do, we put it under contract, we are completely guessing. And I'm telling you that up front.
Really?
What happens, well, to a point, but in this current market, it's so rapidly changing. Like we looked at a land for $300,000 a lot. It was the right number, blah, blah, blah. I think we offered $260, thinking we had a buyer at $275, $290. It wasn't a big spread, but we weren't putting any money into it. And only to find out the lot sold 2.5 months later for $200 grand. That's how fast it moves. Why? Because that's the most that cash buyers were looking to pay for it. Now, the property is under contract 2 or 3 times from people like just like me. I don't care. Like with land, it's a little bit easier. It's like, I don't know. And we put it under contract and then you go, listen, I'm going to start reaching out to cash buyers. We usually put like a 90-day lock on it. So we have a bit of a window on it and we work through it. We don't always get that much time. The minimum I do is 30 to 45 days. But like land is nothing like single family house where you're going to get these perfect comps, figure out the numbers. It just doesn't work that way. And if you guys get hung up on that, you're never going to pull the trigger on land. And once you figure out price points and the market stabilizes once, then you can run with it. So I worked with a real estate broker that knew land better than anyone, that he just needed funded. To go, Rick, if you'll fund it, I'll split it with you. I'll go, okay. We contracted 15 properties. He sold 10 in less than a week. I go, dude, forget 15 properties, go get 100. Well, we got 75 under it, but we sold about 35 of those. So guys, extrapolate the numbers. I had a 50% fail ratio on land, but I did 35 deals. If I tried to get the perfect contract, I'd have to write 35 perfect contracts. I had to write over 100 to even get there, to even get close. Now that was a I'm just trying to give you ideas so like you don't like get, land is like the Wild West. That's just really how it is. I put it under contract. Sometimes people don't know what it's worth. They have no idea, but like sometimes I put it on contract, think I know the value, and then the value goes way down. I've also had the opposite happen in a hot market. So I like to have fun with land. I don't like overthink it. And if the seller gets too difficult, I just don't write the contract. I'm like, if you're this difficult now, I'm like, I let people go, listen, yeah, sure, that sounds work. I go, well, you got to give me a couple months to figure this out. They're like, okay, whatever. It's just sitting there. And then I go to work and I try to find it. When the seller's like, I need that last $5,000 and I can only give you a 14-day inspection period, I go, well, enjoy your land. Let me know if anything changes. And, we'd love to, because I know I'm going to struggle selling that lot. And then typically, so say I got it under contract for 200 and I go back to all my cash buyers list. I have my staff reach out to 30. We'll only connect 15 of them because that's how it works. And then they go, listen, Rick, the best we can get on this thing is like 190. Oh God. So not only do I got to get a $10,000 discount, I got to get my fee in there. So I got to ask for a $30,000 discount right off the bat. I'm going to ask for 50 so I can settle somewhere in between. And this is how we do every one of them. But if you build amazing rapport, you can do this all day long. If only a tenth of them stick, you make a ton of money. And that's the secret to land, guys. I'm telling you, there is so much vacant land out there. It works. And so many of you guys are trying to write the perfect contract. I'm here to tell you, like, open it up, especially in this market, as long as you stick to your rules. So do you have a partner with you?
No, sir, I don't. I'm doing this solo.
So just have your set rules. Like, okay, I'm not going to enter anything that doesn't have at least a 30-day contingency.
Okay.
Whatever
gotcha.
it
I got
is.
at least
You
at minimum
need
30
you
days.
need to set rules. And if you find yourself bending the rules, it's going to get you in trouble.
Now, I saw on one of the videos you said max should be like 90. You can't get it sold by 90 days.
Yeah, I mean,
or doesn't matter.
it depends on what phase the land's in, and if you're trying to go after developers or something like that. And the buyer pool changes so much faster in land because someone comes in and buys a piece of land. Once they fill it, they're off your list. Dude, a lot of people are like that. As opposed to developers, they're the pain in the butt. They're the last people I want to sell to, and you can sell to them in good markets because they'll beat you up. And when they know you're a wholesaler, and you don't ever want to tell a developer you're a wholesaler, they will find every way to delay your closing.
So why is that?
Why? Because they go out and well, here's what they do is they sign 300 contracts and they only honor about 20 or 30 of them. So have you ever met someone that wants to overextend their leverage? Like, I want to control everything, but I only want then they want to cherry pick it and they leverage. And if you let them do that, it's terrible. So the average, when we deal with developers, like they'll obligate you for 2 to 3 months, and then in their contract they have fine print written in there. They can pull out up to the day of the closing. But if you find someone will pay you 50 grand more than the developer, they'll never let you off the hook. So they are seasoned pros. They know how to write the contracts, and they often want you to double close. They do not like assignment because they think they're getting screwed somehow, which is ridiculous.
They're not. Okay, interesting. Wow, that's kind of whack.
You have to spend a lot of time with your cash buyers. Like, I'm just with land, it's even more important because the prices can just when the demand drops, prices can have a 5 or 10% switch within a month or two. It's absolutely crazy.
Okay, perfect. I will keep that in mind. I got into wholesaling because I love people and I can make money too. So
yeah, you do fine. And don't be scared to mix in single family houses. Which market are you in?
Long East Texas.
Okay, yeah, wonderful.
Yes,
you're in a good state for it, man.
I had one more question for you.
Go ahead, Devin.
Off the cash buyer sale, do I need to have a certain time span for when they bought land, like 6 months, or does it matter? Because I had stuff popping back to like 2005. It's kind of.
I mean, I wouldn't do anything less than a year. Cause like, who buys a piece? If someone buys it less than that, they're going to be flipping it on you, and that's going to be a waste of your time. But what you do is you start playing around with your data. So when you get a successful deal, there's very valuable data in there, and if you can extract that and go, okay, I got them in this county in this zip code. Let me see if I can find more, and then you work harder to do that and expand it. I once found a property that I sold to a fix and flipper, and I thought was a terrible neighborhood. And the guy's like, "Can you get me like 6 more properties in there?" I'm like, "Oh, I can get you 6 more because we got that one by accident." That's when I go and do a quick mailing campaign. I'll send out door knockers in the whole 9 yards, and we go all in because I got one sweet spot and I know they want it, and I'll try to go get 7 or 8 properties within that given geographical area, and it works well. I once bought 7 duplexes in one neighborhood off this strategy, and I wound up keeping 2 to this day. No, I sold 1, and now I look back, I was buying duplexes for basically in the low hundreds. I found one with a probate. The guy owned 3, and that's how I figured it out. And then the demand was insane. And then I said, listen, we'll pay up to 200 for any of these properties. We wound up, it was unbelievable. But when I did it, it's over. Now every one of those properties sells for $500,000-$600,000. This is only 2 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
So when you can find trends, guys, you can go very, very deep and narrow, but you only get like a small window when you do it. Land is even more predominant. So like if you're in a neighborhood and somebody builds this beautiful custom home where no one thought you could do it and they did it, it looks beautiful. All of a sudden 10 or 12 people want to do the exact same. So if you can identify trends in real estate, it's game changer. Look for neighborhoods that are gentrifying or straightening over. Guys, I'm in South Florida, man. Like they've taken neighborhoods that I wouldn't even drive through, and now they're some of the most expensive neighborhoods I've ever seen in my life. You only had about a 1-year window every time these things transition.
Okay.
Happens all the time. And as I get older, it moves faster. So you're younger, so you can figure it out. I'm just telling you, be flexible with land, because I'm telling you, you got to get the information from the cash buyers, and it's more important now than ever.
Okay, very well. So you said no sooner than 1 year.
I wouldn't, because who owns a piece of land and sells it within 1 year? I just think that's enough. But you'll have to play around with it. So what works in my market is not always going to work in your market. Okay, I would probably push it closer to 2 years, but I don't know, man. It was like the Wild West for the last 3 or 4 years. So all the rules have been kind of changed. change. So you got to find a pattern in what works. And once you find the pattern, every time you find one filter that works, say you're land flipping, and you go, okay, I've noticed I never get a deal unless they own at least 2 years or more. I've got it so perfected. Like, I don't want to get in trouble telling you guys information because, like, here's a little secret. I'm just going to share it with you. I'll probably get in trouble for doing it. On doing wholesale deals, my average seller's age is 46 and higher. How do I know? I've done over 3,000 deals. Now, not everybody's in there, but if I took 9 out of 10 deals, they'd be 46 or older every time. It's true. But the way we're going in society, they don't want you like pulling out these demographics and stuff like that. So you can manipulate some of them. I believe through batch you can do it, but like, I don't know if I'd use it as a filter. But if I was dead broke and I didn't have a lot of money, you guarantee that everybody I talk to is going to be 46 or older, you know? That's what you do. That's how you become a list ninja, guys. I'm telling you.
Absolutely. Okay.
But like, that's it. It makes sense, right? Like, okay, they got a little bit older, they got a little bit of money, they want to sell the house, they want to move on. So when I deal with people in their 20s to sell a house, it's a nightmare. I mean, it's like every one of my staff cringes because it's like the emotional roller coaster you have to go through these people. Whereas I you know, and then the older they get, then when they get over like 65, you have the other problem. I don't know what the house is worth. Like, they literally don't know what it's worth. So,
and they're trying to get all that.
And then you get old people that play you. Like, they're really smart, but they're playing like dumb. And I see plenty of those too. And they're smart. They didn't get that way by doing it. So have fun with the land thing if that's what you want to target. But just your cash buyer intel is super, super important. Okay.
Yes, sir. Good deal.
Okay.
Thank you much, Rick.
See you.